Hello, welcome to Ken's Adventure. My name's Ken. Today I have started a few survival school videos, and today I'm just going to do basic shelter to start off this part of my YouTube channel. Shelters are very important when it's an emergency or in a survival situation, because you need to go and protect yourself from elements. It's no good like you see in the movies, the guys are sleepy. On the shows, the guys are sleeping in the wild. That's a big no-no, because if you suddenly have rain, it also protects you from the dew, etc. One thing about building in a survival situation, do not be in dense forests or bush, because by the time you hear the rescuers, they can pass by the time you get there to light your fire or signal. It's rather to be in the open so you can be noticed. Unless it's in a wartime zone, yes, concealment is very important, but in a normal situation it's not. There's three elements in survival. One is water, fire, shelter. Water is so important because without water, in a few days, it can be deadly. Fire gives you warmth and also does a psychological thing by just keeping you calm. Shelter is the same thing. It protects you from the element, but also psychologically it actually is a good element, especially when there's a big group. It gives people things to do, like find firewood, find wood, to things to actually make a shelter. When you do go out, make sure you carry what they call a survival pack or a day pack. You have certain things like ponchos, a ground sheet, and several other things. I will deal that in another channel, but today I just want to build what we call a non-contact shelters, where you don't actually physically have tie them up with rope and that, because sometimes, or string, because sometimes you don't have that, and trying to find vines that will tie is very hard, and trying to make it with bark is time consuming. And sometimes you're in an area for a couple of days, you've got to move, because you actually have now depleted the resources like firewood and food. You've got to move to a new area every several days. If you have a large group, you have to actually move far quicker. Can't just stay in one area. That's because you found out in a lot of places or events in history, a lot of people died because they didn't bother to move. They just stayed put, hoping. Sometimes it's nice to hope, but rather moving. Okay, so what I've got to do today, I'm just going to make those shelters and use everyday elements to do that. First one we're going to do is just a basic lean-to, long tub with a part on, put a tarpaulin on, and then if you haven't got it, I'm going to actually use a couple of leaves, and we're going to actually make a shelter from. We're going to do, as I said, is a simple A-frame. Just grab two A-frames, and it's going to sit like that, non-contact. Don't make it too high, because you want to actually also be warm. Warmth is most important, so you just, and there's a lip, so as it is on contact, just enough so you can crawl in. Dig a couple holes with your stick. As it is, I already did a little tree to make it go. There we are. There we are. And then just put a beam on top. And that's your basic frame. It's just enough to cozy, just enough to get to sleep. This actually is for one person. And that's the top the bottom method. Just a simple ground sheet, and to just keep it from blowing away, you can put rocks or some timber on the sides, just like that. And to go in, you just crawl in. And there's your shelter. Remember, if you've got another sail, just put it down on the ground, because if you don't do it, what will happen is the condensation will happen and you'll wake with a wet tent. So that's the one method. As you can see, it's simple, doesn't take long to build, and you don't need many materials. But if you don't have a top, you can use what we call the stick and leaf method. This only happens if you've got the availability of leaves. You can use sticks or pieces of timber. If you're in a grassy area and you've got a shot knife, use grass. Now let's see how comfortable it is. Actually, it's very comfortable. You can actually sleep here, you can turn, the leaves will keep you nice and warm, and there's some waterproofing in it. So that is the leaf method. I'm just going to show one more, and that will be I'm only going to do 2 shelters in this series. This is only part 1. Later on I'll be putting more of different other shelters. When we go out in the bush, today I'm actually at home because I'm recovering, but when we go out in the bush I will show you how to find actually other type of shelters, what you can use in nature to make shelters. Okay, I'm just going to make the famous one. It's just the lean-to with a sail, but as I said, I'm not going to try and use any string on this one, because string, if you don't have enough cord or string out in the bush, if you tie it up all on your shelter, then you've got problems elsewhere. Same method, we're going to dig this hole deeper so we can actually set this in. Remember, I've still got the reed. Use the bush knife again. And you see, you don't need much. You can get a bit of rocks and put that on. Now we need to find another stick, branch with a V, bit wider. Let's mark it there. I just want to get the ponchos. As you can see, I've got the frame. It's a bit wobbly, but for the demo I'm not going to go to extend because this is just a demo, but you will get the basic ideas. One thing about survival, The only way you're going to learn these skills is not by watching TV. I know there's a show with one show off, because I watched a couple of his episodes and I found them actually to be false representation. Where I saw the falseness, he was with actress, and they went abseiling, but they never carried the kits in their bags. It was all orchestrated. The only way you're going to learn survival is to practice. Do courses, but practice. That's the only way you're going to up your skills. The reason why a lot of people who so-called survivalists don't survive is because they get the kits, but they don't practice. Practice is so important. Even spend a weekend doing wild, just to see if you can cope mentally to do it. I'm just going to throw the tarpaulin over and then we're done for this episode. This poncho clips in double. I've actually have two of them. I only carry one, but if you have somebody there with you, two is fine. I might get some sticks. And there we are. Thank you for watching this channel. If you like, press the like button and please do subscribe.